Our traditions are the pillars that give us stability and point us to the right direction. That is why we have kept them alive for over 25 years, and we continue our journey, developing them into something bigger. We build our success on professional experience combined with modern solutions that give us edge. Trust is priceless, and so is time. That is why we constantly modernize our services and make everything easier and faster. That is how we continue to dream and grow. Together, InvestBank, always by your side.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, in recent months, in the context of the COVID pandemic, Invest Bulgaria Agency and 15 bilateral chambers of commerce and industry in our country seek to position Bulgaria as an excellent destination for relocation of production in the process of shortening supply chains, nearshoring. This will be the topic of today's conference, which is being held under the patronage of the Ministry of Economy of the Republic of Bulgaria and is sponsored by InvestBank. The event will be opened by Mr. Lachezar Borisov, Minister of Economy. Hello, Mr. Borisov.
Hello. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for that. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you, all of you, at today's event. Thank you for your interest and participation. I would like to start with that in the recent years, Bulgaria has established itself as an attractive investment destination. Our country is among the first in the Union in terms of macroeconomic and financial stability. And I'm sure that at the end of 2020, Bulgaria will be among the leaders in the European Union in terms of the budget deficit as a percent of GDP, in terms of the lowest rate of the governmental debt as a percentage of GDP, and also the growth of the consumption as a very important factor for the GDP situation of the GDP. I would like also to highlight that most important factors for attractiveness is the improved administrative environment in Bulgaria and the maintenance of the lowest tax rates in the European Union. Bulgaria also has the lowest operational costs in the European Union, and the good qualification of the staff is highly valued by the foreign investors. Here I would like to highlight also that Bulgaria during the pandemic crisis has one of the most soft lockdown measures, and also the lowest COVID-19 new cases at the moment now in that situation. So I would like also to continue with our admission to ERM2 in 2020. This is another proof that we will remain on the map of the investment processes. Investors who meet the conditions of the Investment Promotion Act receive a certificate giving the opportunity to benefit from the available incentives. This is very important to highlight that during that year, we need to benefit from the available incentives for 1 billion level investors. These are about 34 investors, and they are coming from all of the countries which participate today in that meeting. We also offer further incentives and measures to promote access to finance for small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as for reform of vocational education and training and interaction between universities and businesses. The adoption of new law on industrial parks is underway. This law is in the parliament, and my expectation is that this law will be approved during the next days. The adoption of that law aims shortening the time for construction of modern industrial zones with all the utilities in place. Bulgaria develops technology parks for high-tech production and innovation. The new situation with the pandemic and the fact that more and more companies are interested in shortening supply chains provides new opportunities for our country as a nearshoring destination. We welcome investments in broad range of sectors of economy as they provide employment and growth in different locations. In recent years, there has been an increase in investment for technological development in high value added industries and services and the creation of new high performance jobs. Bulgaria is well positioned on the map of the automotive industries, and at the moment we have more than 270 companies operating in that sector. They are producing components and systems for leading international car brands. Bulgaria is becoming a preferred destination for establishing outsourcing and service centers, leading high-tech companies. The ICT sector is also among the main contributors to the growth of the gross value added in the economy. Recently, even the World Bank Group opened its shared service center in Sofia. We also started the construction of the building for this new high-tech computer, which can be used from our friends and our investors. This is in Sofia, and also I would like to highlight that the ICT sector is growing fast as a result of the quality of our IT infrastructure and the availability of the qualified staff. For instance, I can give you additional information that some of the most important decisions for the automotive industry and for the autonomous driving were taken from Bulgaria. And I also would like to add that the recent service of our employers associations and our international business chambers showed that 95% of the foreign companies which invested in Bulgaria earlier are ready to expand their presence here. That was one of the best news which I received as a Minister of Economy. And I believe that this is the right moment for you to decide where to be your next move. The next move should be Bulgaria. Bulgaria is highly competitive in terms of stability, predictability, and growth. And I'm sure that finally, we will end 2020 as one of the leaders in terms of economic and financial stability. But I also would like to add that Bulgaria is ready, following our forecast for the 2021 for this year, that we can cover probably more than 80% of the loss of GDP during this pandemic and economic crisis. I also would like to add that nearshoring is becoming more attractive, and in that current pandemic situations, we can show that we have many advantages of shortening supply chains and investing in countries in close time zone, easier access, and all of the advantages of the common European market. So you have to rely on us. We have a special team which was established, let's say, by me, but we have special investment team together with representatives of the deputy ministers of all different ministers, and we are ready to work together with you in that dynamic and changing environment, especially in times of pandemic, pose difficulties for business. But it is important to build partnerships, to work together, to find a way to find the synergistic effect together with you. And our efforts is to achieve this cooperation, which is beneficial for the companies and for every one of us. Let's stay strong together and let's work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that great opening, Mr. Borisov. Our next speaker is Stamen Yanev, Deputy Minister of Economy. Hello, Mr. Yanev.
Hello. Hello.
Is Bulgaria an attractive nearshoring destination?
By all means, I think His Excellency, the Minister of Economy, Mr. Borisov, has outlined most of the pluses that could be received by simple move to Bulgaria, but probably as a few words to open the discussion, I would like to stress that this conference is very important and timely due to the fact that we all realized that when the pandemic came, we turned out that it wasn't an easy task to bring goods, services, and basically the supply chain was cut. Everyone realized that the world Chinese factory is closed. So Bulgaria could be an alternative to this world factory. And you could see that Bulgaria is part of European Union and at the same time stays close to the to this difficult supply chain coming from Asia. On top of that, I would say that besides the strategic location, we could say that we have also good connections and easy access to basically main markets, not only the European market, but also Russian market and northern market. We also have good connections within Africa and Middle East. So this is really a good alternative, and somehow not only the supply chain could be shortened, but also it could be expedited, and I would say that costs could be cut. Considering that we have a real good tax system with the simple and flat taxation rate towards individuals and corporates with 10% rate, we definitely could have really good business model. And having this low taxation rate, our labor costs are very competitive. Operational costs are probably one of the attractive ones in the European Union, which are close to the attractive costs for doing business in Asia. So really, this is one of the good alternatives. I would say that it is really a great opportunity to shorten the supply chain and really to have a success story. Bulgaria is being part of the European Union is something like a country with Western culture, with Western type of values, and at the same time it is close to Asia, and really a good opportunity for every investor who would like to be in the situation where he is not dependent on the supplies coming from Asia. I would say that probably it is also important to stress that we have good talent because young people in Bulgaria are among the top IT specialists. One of the last valuation shows that we're at 12th place worldwide, being among the good IT developers. We have always shown that we're among the top 3 countries of young people who are winning competitions in maths and IT. There are also good access to high-speed network system, and really, especially nowadays, where the digital, we're somehow living in digital world. You could, it is really very easy to be everywhere in the world and the same time to operate through Bulgaria. So considering all these pluses and low level of minuses, our expectation is that we can position ourselves as a good nearshoring destination, and really to having the possibility to speak and to share common values, it is much more easier to operate in Bulgaria, to have central offices in Western Europe, and really in a short term to receive the necessary goods and services. It was mentioned all KPIs in the financial system that we have achieved, and really this shows that we're a reliable and predictable partner for every investor. And on top of that is the possibility to receive government incentives, which would be further discussed in this conference. But I would like to stress shortly that every investor who is coming to Bulgaria will be duly and competently receive our services and support. And the incentives could be really attractive, and it is shown that Bulgaria has the biggest financial support within the European Union. This support is highly intensive when the investor receives the certificate for class investor, no matter it is B, A, or priority. And this is the legal ground to receive the government incentives in 3 main groups. This is fast-track administrative procedures. This is the possibility to receive state or municipal land without tender procedures. And on top of that is the financial support in the way of paying back the social security for the new hires, paying back the cost for the training programs, and possibility to develop really the public infrastructure. I would stress that we have also amended the law, and currently there is a possibility to receive also cash grant for big and strategic players which could come to Bulgaria. I would like to close my opening remarks with the main, I would say, motto that the next step for the success of the investor is Bulgaria. So thank you, and I'm open for further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Yanev. We all know how important it is for the reliable and the stable investors to choose our country for their business to stay, but also to be an example of good practices, to create new jobs, to show social responsibility, professional experience and high values. Let's find out more details from Mr. Marcel van der Hoek, Local Business Manager, Electrification, Balkans Cluster ABB. Hello, Mr. van der Hoek.
Hello. You understand me?
Yes, perfect.
You hear me? Yes.
Tell us
good.
about your experience in Bulgaria.
Yeah, so our experience is actually quite rich, and also already about the last 25 years. So it is not a single investment which we have made from the nearshoring point of view. We have activity which is already very long ago. I have a few slides to maybe show you a little bit what ABB has the experience in Bulgaria, and ABB, just as a brief information, is a global company, 130 years old, already 110,000 people worldwide, and we are in the business of electrification, robotics, automation, and motion. You see here a nice picture of Formula E, where ABB is the main partner, as we are also a leader in the charging infrastructure for EV charging. Now, a little bit about Bulgaria. This is the today's situation. We have in Bulgaria 5 production units, and we have also a service unit, and today we employ over 2,200 people. And as you see, the investment was not only in factories, also in service, also in R&D, and our project offices. So, as I mentioned, 25 years. In 96, we started in Petric, South Bulgaria, with a greenfield. This was a relatively small operation, 5,000 square meters, and we employed 300 employees. There we produce low voltage equipment, and we've seen that this works very well. Therefore, we went on to the second investment, and this was in 2009 in Rakovsky. We had another greenfield, much bigger. It's 35,000 square meter company, and today the first and the second unit together employ about 1,800 employees. Again, for low voltage products, and this was a $20 million investment. When we move on, and we had a small operation, we start to extend 1 year later, a service station in Varna for turbochargers. This was relatively small, and it was in a rented premises. Then 2013, so it's a continual investment. We had a second factory in Rakovsky, 27,000 square meter, and this is for production of low and medium voltage products. And we also had a training center investment there in this location. There it doesn't stop. So in 2018, we started production for our automation business. This was in not a greenfield. This is in a rented facility, and we started there the new production activity. With around 50 people work there now. Our last investment was in 2019. Was in Petric, where we had a big opening there, and this is again a greenfield, our second factory there, and we have employed since then already over 400 people, and there is the production mostly linked to the low voltage products as well. So now a little bit to share with you some lessons which we learned. So when we talk about the nearshoring experience, for us was very good to have a step-by-step approach, a regular investment, not in one shot everything, and we learn on the way and we improve on the way. And as you see, we really are committed to Bulgaria because the conditions are very good. Main reason why Bulgaria is also that it's I mean, it's a stable currency. Of course, lower cost is already mentioned. I think is a given. That didn't comment it, but also that it's close to the main markets. We have transport corridors to France, Germany, Italy, Norway, and even some more countries where are additional factories from ABB. What also we learned is that it's extremely important to engage with the local community and in regards to education and attracting good talent. We were twice the investor of the year. We were also the employer of the year, and we are creating real value for our customers. When just as an example for collaboration with educational units, we are participating in dual education system. We had an ABB after school club as well. We had a laboratory in Plovdiv, and we also provide for engineering students scholarships. So as a last slide, I'd like to show you this is the future. Not finished yet. We have invested then in a hall in Varna. It should be ready by beginning of 2021. So soon to be opened, and hopefully many success stories to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Van der Hoek. Now, let's turn your attention to Desislava Trifonova, Executive Director of Invest Bulgaria Agency. Hello, Mrs. Trifonova.
Hello, thank you very much. Dear Mr. Yanev, dear Mr. Partners of the Bilateral Chambers of Commerce and Industry, dear participants of today's conference, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the video conference Bulgaria is a new Nearshoring Destination, which we organized together with 13 of the Bilateral Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and it's held under the patronage of the Ministry of Economy. Despite the current situation and the consequences from the COVID crisis, it continues to be a preferred destination for our investors. Currently, we are focused on investors who seek to shorten their supply chain and look for a location of their business activities in order to be more effective and more efficient. Also, our main goal at the agency, the Invest Bulgaria agency, is to support our investors through different packages of governmental incentives, which are basically that process. What we do is we evaluate different let's say key factors such as employment establishment, scope of economic activity, region of implementation of the project, and also source and structure of financing, as well as source, of course, purpose of the investment. The incentive measures can be such as shorten, cut on administrative terms. This incentives is very common here in Bulgaria and is used by investors with tight schedules for the implementation of their projects. In particular, that means that local and central authorities are obliged to cut the waiting period for different administrative services with up to 1/3. Another incentive we apply here in Bulgaria is the possibility of acquisition of land and limited rights in rent for movable property, which is owned by the state or the city. This is a very common incentive. Financing of vocational training is possible upon request of the investors, and we allocate sources to the investors for training and attainment of professional qualifications. The Social Security cashback option is distinctive also financial incentive. It's in form of recovered Social Security and health contribution and health insurance contributions made on the behalf of the employer for the newly employed people. Another incentive we apply here is individual services which are provided by the experts of the agency. This incentive is to make sure that we guarantee that the investment project will be implemented smoothly to different administrations. It's basically we support our investors with organization and coordination dealings with the central authorities. Of course, another very important incentive is the financing of technical infrastructure. This is a key part of one of the key parts of our incentives because it's a key element and integral part for, of course, for the implementation of the project. It is provided, the state provides support for construction of physical infrastructure to the borders of the investment sites. And I would like to bring your attention to our priority class additional incentives which we provide. They can be public-private partnership, also no tax on changing land status, and buying public land on favorable prices, as well as cash grants between up to 25 or 50% intensity, depending on the region of implementation or the scope of activity. Of course, this is meant for projects which are large-scale projects and have, let's say, a significant socio-economic impact. I believe that this combination of governmental incentives is a very good base for investors who seek to relocate their businesses and become more efficient. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Stefanova. It takes a lot of courage to make the decision to expand or relocate a business to double and triple the scale, along with all the risks that this can bring. A good time, a good plan, and partners to trust. Mr. Xavier Marcenac, the co-founder of an innovative company, will tell us how he decided to expand its business in Bulgaria. Hello, Mr. Marcenac.
Second, sorry.
Can you mute the microphone? Yes, we will hear you now.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, excuse me for that. So I explaining about Nasikomo, we are a biotechnology company, and what we're using is an insect called the black soldier fly to upcycle large quantity of agro-industrial waste and transform it into a premium ingredient for the animal feed, and also premium fertilizer for the organic farming industry. So, you know, international press and investors have recognized that insect protein is the future of food and feed. But why is that? Well, actually, if you think about the actual situation on our planet, we have a lack of protein, especially animal protein. We have a gap of about 100 million tons expected by 2050. And the problem is that the current production methods are not sustainable. For example, 90% of the global fish stocks are getting depleted. 80% of the agricultural land is used to feed farm animals. Well, actually, the insect farming brings a very good solution because on the one hand, the insect can transform about 60% of an organic waste stream into body mass in less than 10 days. And the insect protein has been recognized as an excellent replacement to soy and fish meal. So beyond the sustainability elements I mentioned, we should also think that, you know, the insect protein is a product with a very high economic value. It provides improved growth for farm animals. It can allow you to set up hypoallergenic product with improved disease resistance for the animals, and at the same time, it's required, for example, much less resources to be farmed in terms of land, water, or carbon footprint. To give you an example, 1 ton of insect meal replaces 5 tons of wild fish, which are currently used for fish meal production. Our model is based on the circular economy. So what we do is that we collect and we source organic waste stream from the agro-industrial in collaboration. We farm the insect, we extract protein and oil from the larvae of the insect, and we feed the fish and the pet. And we then use the insect thrash, the remaining of the production, as an organic fertilizer to feed the land and grow vegetables and product that will come back into our production at some point. Our company has been based in Bulgaria for 3.5 years. We went through a number of steps. We've been getting some financial support from, for example, the funds in Bulgaria through 2 local VC funds. We've now built a demonstrator facility with a 500-ton capacity per year, which is one of the top 5 in Europe. And as a company, we expect to be break-even by the end of this year. We are now the largest company for the insect business in Central and Eastern Europe, and we intend to continue being it and growing further. Our activities in Bulgaria today, we have about 35 people doing mostly R&D activities on the technology and the biology side close to Sofia. We are currently working on a project, and specifically with the Bulgarian Investment Agency, to build a large-size insect protein plant somewhere in the east part of Bulgaria, close to the agro-industrials. This will be the largest insect protein plant in the EU outside of France and the Netherlands, which are the most, I would say, advanced countries in this regards. We've been working with a number of local partners. I mentioned the fund of funds, Mornings Ideal Capital Management, NV3, but we're also working with a number of university, the Stara Zagora University, the Plovdiv University, Institute in Stara Zagora and Kostinbrod, as well as a number of other local partners. And just to finish, we went through a number of awards. The most recent one was what they call, innovation awards, which we got last December in Bulgaria. But we also are the recipient of the Chivas Venture Bulgaria winner for 2018. We also were the 4th worldwide in the Future Agro Challenge, and we received recently a Seal of Excellence from the European Commission. That's it for my presentation today, Christo.
Thank you, Mr. Marcenac. In recent years, Bulgaria has identified and developed very well several sectors, such as ICT, outsourcing, food industry. And today we will look in more detail at the sectors mechatronics and chemical industry, which Mr. Georgi Stoev, economic analyst, will present. Hello, Mr. Stoev.
Thank you, Christo. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present probably the fastest growing manufacturing sector in the country. This is automotive together with machine building in the widest possible sense. Mechatronics. This is a really wide definition of manufacturing of cars, commercial vehicles, home appliances, machines, and all the parts and components for them. This has been the sector which has been growing by quickest pace in the past 5 or 6 years, and has been responsible for the generation of most jobs in Bulgarian manufacturing. But also, I would like to make a quick snapshot on another industry coming from the process manufacturing. This is the chemicals and biotech, which has, for some surprisingly, also increased in periods when other processing industries have been shrinking. So just a quick look at what is happening in Europe, especially in Central and Eastern Europe. What's going on in the manufacturing sector is most of it in the developing and emerging economies is dominated by automotive, mechatronics, and discrete manufacturing in the widest possible sense. Bulgaria is a little bit behind, but catching up very quickly. It goes mostly hand in hand with countries like Romania, but it's very, very steadily approaching the Central European leaders, Slovakia, Czech Republic, which are close to the German levels of development. We should stress very, very heavily here that Bulgaria has the fourth fastest growing productivity in the whole Union. Only after Denmark, Romania, and Lithuania. This is out of 28 countries by latest statistics. So keep in mind that even when you see quick rises of wages, you also see a very quick rise of productivity here. The picture is not universal. Most of the subsectors are developing on a different pattern. We have the automotive, which has been the quickest in terms of job creation, but at the same time, it was also the quickest in terms of wage rises as the demand for labor rose. But it has productivity gains which were, let's say, modest or average. At the same time, we had custom machine building, mainly in mid-sized companies, Bulgarian and foreign-owned, which showed that productivity could grow at much faster pace than the wages. And finally, we have the processing industries like chemicals and biotech, where we have wages which are catching up with the rest of the manufacturing. At the same time, productivity gains are not so substantial. So just keep in mind that the picture could be mixed. The size of the automotive and machine building sector in Bulgaria is quite substantial. This 100,000 jobs is practically 1/5 of the whole manufacturing sector, and it's been rising by close to 18,000 new jobs for the past 5 years, and measured in terms of sales revenues. It rose by approximately 50% for 5 years. So it's been quite dynamic. Just as a comparison, the size of chemicals and biotech are approximately 4 times smaller, but they have also experienced quite a quick rise of jobs and of sales. And again, I have to stress that other processing industries have been shrinking during the same period. This is a very, I think, important slide that Bulgaria is part of the top 6 labor markets in Central and Eastern Europe when we're talking about automotive and mechatronics. You basically can figure out which are the rest of the countries, but what is important is that when we compare them in terms of productivity vis-a-vis labor cost, which I think is one of the most important indicators for decision about investing or nearshoring, Bulgaria comes number 3. Please keep in mind that the other countries are very close to Bulgaria, so this is really a ranking, not so much about differences. This is just to bring your attention how the countries go hand in hand together in this part of Europe. When I said productivity, you should keep in mind that it's a little bit higher than the average for the country. It's about 15% higher, and it stands. These are figures for 2019, which are the latest official statistics available. So it was at 18,500 euros. This is value added per one job in mechatronics and automotive. And this is comparison with the average labor cost in the sector. So you can see a substantial difference. What is important to know that the average labor cost in automotive is much higher than the average for the country. So this is a comparison with the chemicals and biotech, which, as expected, has a much higher productivity, as this is a much more capital-intensive industry. But again, the difference with the average labor cost are quite substantial for for labor productivity. So I think this gives a very clear picture how an investor can gain with from nearshoring to either discrete or process manufacturing to this country. Just a quick final touch on what it means to create a job here in Bulgaria. On average, in mechatronics and automotive, it takes approximately 21,000 euro of fixed capital for one job. And this is a comparison with the other quickly growing industries. I have put here chemicals and biotech, which are approximately 3 times more capital intensive. But I have also put here IT and business outsourcing, which was the other very quickly developing sector in Bulgaria and Eastern Europe. It was approximately 3 times less capital intensive. So in a way, mechatronics and automotive are a little bit in the middle as capital intensity, but at the same time quickly rising. No matter how much capital requires one job. So this is my final remark, which I'd like to save for the Q&A session, if you allow me. So I'm open for your questions and remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Our next speaker is Svetlana Stefanova, General Manager of FAAC Bulgaria, that operates in the sector of automated systems. Hello, Mrs. Stefanova.
Good day to everyone. First of all, I would like...
Tell us more about your experience in the country.
Yes, I think that we have long experience area, and I'm happy to show you our success story in Bulgaria. And this way, I hope, encourage even more companies to invest and locate it here. FAAC Bulgaria is part of the FAAC group and a global leader on the market for automated systems. With more than 50 years of experience and thanks to constant growth in all fields of automation and access control, FAAC has become a major international group with over 2,500 employees in 24 countries around the world, and has a sales network of official distributors in more than 80 countries. The company offers a full range of complete solutions for automation of garage doors, automatic barriers, pedestrian entrances, bollards, and parking management systems. Okay, let's start from the beginning. The beginnings of FAAC Bulgaria can be traced back 26 years. Initially, a local company was established as part of the American group Data Park, known on the global market for its parking systems and having installations in both North and South America, as well as Europe and Australia. Research and development in Bulgaria began in 1995. Later, with its skills and efficiency, it was able to grow and become one of the main development centers of the Data Park group. And eventually, it expanded all the way to becoming the only one for Data Park. The company also started production in Bulgaria, first with a small workshop, of course. Then in 2002, the first factory was built, and it later grew into a whole industrial park. Nowadays, 4 Italian suppliers as FAAC also established their branch companies here and started local production next to us, after seeing the advantages of the country. In 2012, Data Park became a part of the FAAC family, and our company received its current name, FAAC Bulgaria. The R&D office in Ruse became the largest unit of this type for the parking business of the group. started from one software and one hardware engineers only. Now we have a development department with up to 50 employees. The advantages of Bulgaria as a location for development are in the good skilled IT specialists and sensible payment. In the last few years, many international companies recognize these advantages and have started their own branches in Bulgaria. This is the reason why today the country is called Silicon Valley of Europe. In the same year, 2012, the factory in Tutrakan was expanded with the new production lines for parking equipment. Few months later, a factory of FAAC Group was moved from Bergamo, Italy, to Bulgaria. A big part of access automation lines are located here, and we supply products all over the world. 1 year later, German barriers under the Magnetic brand also started to be produced here, and today we are their main manufacturer. Our production in Bulgaria is lean-oriented and meets all modern international standards. The achieved result won us the position of one of the most important production units in the group. You experience and use our products every day without even knowing it, by driving into car parks, by entering public buildings like museums or offices, or by using the public transport as well as airports. American Group Data Park and later FAAC Group appreciated and took advantages of Bulgaria. I really hope that other international companies will do the same. Thank you and stay safe.
Great success story in Bulgaria. Thank you for that. Now let's summarize what has been said so far and watch a short video about Bulgaria as a top nearshoring destination.
For every beginning, there is a place to live, a place to grow, a place to move to, and a place to move you. Today, you're taking the first step to that place. A place which connects you to the Middle East and Russia without ever leaving the European Union. A place of great connections where the internet is amongst the 10 fastest in the world. Everything moves fast in this place. A booming economy with low operating costs and a corporate tax of just 10%. A smart place with smart people. People who top the global charts in mathematics and rank third in the world in IT specialists per capita. People who communicate with the world. 1 in 2 speaks at least one foreign language. This place is a vibrant global software development hub, an industry growing by 30% year on year. The automotive sector is also driving in the fast lane, helping 90% of the European cars move. And there's more. More electrical manufacturing, more mechatronics, more mechanical engineering, electronics, innovations. More is moving forward in this place. Until it pauses. Just for a moment. And then you dive into 14 centuries of cultural heritage. You are dazzled by the stunning natural beauty and never get tired of its diversity throughout its 4 seasons. You fall in love with this place of abundance, where half of the land is arable, fertile, clean, and rich in mineral water. So move forward and be moved by Bulgaria. Take the first step and let us welcome you with strong institutional support and attractive business incentives. Invest in Bulgaria. Move to be moved.
Now it's time for short Q&A session. I have a question to Mrs. Trifonova, Executive Director of Invest Bulgaria Agency. Which were the top sectors in year 2020 for investments?
Well, that is a very nice question. In 2020, gladly half of the certified projects were in the production sector, followed also by the sector of services, and of course another new sector, the pharmacy and healthcare sector, and then automotive and IT sectors. The good part is that the certified projects we have here at the agency were actually from the very vast area and scope of activity from the companies, from let's say fertilizers, high-tech production, medical equipment, and so on. And that also something that I would like to state is that for this year, and it's only January, we have been reached out by companies from the Silicon Valley, also companies from Middle East and Asia, which operate in electronics and also telecommunication and high-tech production. So we expect also this year to be very strong when it comes to new investments here in Bulgaria. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question to Mr. Georgi Stoev. How does Bulgaria compare to other investment destinations in terms of industrial specialization of its economy?
Well, most of the countries in Europe, no matter if they're emerging or more developed, they are seeing some kind of shrinking of their industrial base in terms of jobs. But the industry, the manufacturing is changing. Its structure is becoming more diverse in terms of allocating more companies in the automotive, mechatronics, machine building sectors. This doesn't matter if this is Germany, the Czechia, or Bulgaria. It happens all over Europe. And Bulgaria is competing particularly with countries in Central and Eastern Europe and the Balkans. And I'm really happy to say that for the past 5 years, it's been one of the 2 top countries which has been specializing most dynamically in mechatronics and automotive. The other one being Romania, which has been growing substantially its share of mechatronics and automotive in its industrial base. This is my answer to your question, but if you allow me another minute of expectation or forecast, I'm expecting that Bulgaria will keep this pace together with a couple of more other countries. Maybe Croatia will be one of them. What I'm expecting is that the mass production will give way to a leaner foreign direct investments, more micro plants looking to diverse their supply chains, more custom production rather than mass series of production, especially machine building, willing to be more agile and to serve more complex, customized and faster orders. And finally, last but not least, the tech companies which have been so quickly developing in the country, they will become much more closely related with industry, and they will be a very, very important factor for the technological development of the new manufacturing landscape.
Thank you, George. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our event sponsored by Invest Bank. Please contact our organizers for more information.